everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Hope everyone's having a great day. Today we're going to be checking out a third-party figure. This is a newer style company called Infamous, and this is the 1/6 scale Space Wizard, also known as Ebony Maw from Avengers Infinity War and in Avengers Endgame. But before we get into that, please ask if you could drop down, grab the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the little bell for notifications, and help grow the channel. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the unboxing. Okay, so here is the box for the Space Wizard. As you can see here, we get this glossy kind of shadow style look to this front, which looks really cool, gives it that nice shine in the light and everything like that. And then we get Infamous 1/6 scale collectible figurines, Space Wizard. Side, you get a little hint of shadowing of Thanos and Ebony Maw, Cold Obsidian, Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive. Now we are getting the Proxima Midnight figure, otherwise known as the Shadow Void, from the same company. So hopefully they're going to flesh out this entire line, because I think that would be great for displays and checking up in the detolfs, things like that. So on the back, we get this nice little back box art that shows the figure. We've got Corvus Glaive, Call Obsidian, and Proxima Midnight right in there. So hopefully this is an indication that we are going to get these two figures as well, because if you remember, years ago, Hot Toys teased Corvus Glaive, but they never delivered on that promise, which angered a lot of collectors. So, take them out of the box. We get just the regular styrofoam there. And then here is the figure. And first impressions was you take off the plastic piece here. Don't want to just rip it off because he's got a little bit of hair in the back. First impressions are, wow, this guy really does look exactly like Ebony Maw from Avengers Infinity War. The likeness is great. The figure itself has got a little more weight to it than what I would consider a typical 6 scale Hot Toys figure to have. So we get a good look at the hair here on the back. And you hear a little bit of joint there, so that's good. I always like to hear the joints move, because then you know they're good and sturdy. So we'll put him back for the time being. And then underneath, we get an additional spot for the base and the stand. So let's go ahead and get out the accessories, and let's take a look at everything you're going to get. So here are the accessories for the Space Wizard. As you can see, doesn't really come with a whole lot, but Ebony Maw doesn't really have a whole lot in the film, so there you go. So we get this rectangular style base. We don't have any kind of indication on the front of who it is. There's nothing that says Space Wizard or anything like that. But we do get this nice kind of concrete style finish on top. It reminds me of when him and Call Obsidian land in New York and they take on Strange and Wong and Tony and Bruce. Reminds me of kind of that right there. So that's kind of cool. And then, of course, we get our regular style crotch grabber there. Now, we do get 1, 2, 3 sets of hands. And I really like the detail on these. I like the detail on the rings. I think they did a really, really nice job. I feel like this is Hot Toys level quality on the hands and the rings. I feel like if Hot Toys made this figure, this is pretty much exactly what we would get. So you get this one, which just kind of looks like he would hold some sort of stick or spear or something like that. Not really sure what you're going to use that for. And then, of course, we get the we'll call it the shh style hand that he does right at the beginning of Infinity War when he tells Thor to be quiet. This would be a cool little pose to do with, say, your Infinity War Thor. You could probably get a nice detolf style scene set up. But you can see the hands look really nice. I think the color application is really, really well done. And then we get these kind of open gesture style hands, and you can see his hands seem to be a little bit longer than what we would see from, say, a regular Avenger human style type hand. The fingers have a little bit of play to them. They're not articulated though, so they're going to kind of go back to that same style look, which is really cool. But you could potentially kind of get You kind of cross the fingers up a little bit and get in a pose kind of like this if you wanted to, because he does do this pose, I think, once or twice in the film where he kind of holds his hands like that. So that could be something you could try to do. And then, of course, we get a typical closed fist hand, but they look really nice there with the rings and everything. So that's it for accessories. So let's go ahead and get the figure back out here and we'll take a closer look at the details. So here is the figure standing up in the light box on the turntable, just going around. And I mean, I really like this figure. I think it looks really good. For it being non-Hot Toys quality, I think this is easily probably one of the best third-party figures of the year. The suit is a little more rubbery than what I expect, and we'll take a look at that here in just a second. But all in all, going through the first few, kind of messing around with it a little bit, I think it's a really solid figure. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the face sculpt. Let's get a closer look at that, and we'll take a look at the articulation. All right, so here we're going to take a look at the head sculpt and a little bit of the articulation. As you can see here, I think the head sculpt looks really, really good. I like that they've, they sculpted in this part of his head, and this, I guess we'll just say it's like it's caved in right there. It looks really good here on top. The hair looks really well done. Mine kind of has this seam right here, though, that kind of looks a little off. But, most of the time you're going to have him pose like that, so you're not really going to be able to see that, at least for my sake. But I think the hair looks, pretty good. It's got this kind of that silver white style look to it, which reminds me of exactly what he looked like in the film. And then going down here, you can see now he's a little bit narrower in the shoulders because he's a taller figure, correct? So they didn't quite make him nearly as, say, broad as as some of the other figures, which, in my opinion, looking at him on film, this is pretty accurate as to what we would expect. So I like the details here on his kind of this armor plate for this suit. And then this is all this spongy style rubber material all the way through. There's no real plastic material even down here on his pants. And through the flaps right here, it's all a spongy rubber. Now, mine did come with what looks to be like a couple of stains right there, which is unfortunate. But all in all, still really, really solid. You can see there the back flap, same deal. It's all this kind of this spongy, rubbery style material all the way down to the boots. The boots have that, the slide there for the top part of it, so you can get good ankle pivot and rotation. So taking a look at articulation, he's not really going to look up very much. That's about as much as I can get him to look up right there. It is a full neck piece that's going to set down on a ball joint down in here. So usually when you get those, you don't get a lot of up articulation, but you will be able to get him to look down pretty well. And then side to side, again, he's got this thick collar right here, so, I wouldn't really go much further than say that. Plus, it's going to start to look kind of funky the more you move him across. Arm-wise, you can hear the joints there. I like that. He goes up past 90. That's pretty well. Pretty good there. We get the rotation there in the shoulder, which is nice. And then we get our double jointed elbows, and they come way in there, which is really good. Because if you want to get him in that, what I showed earlier, especially with these hands, to get him to kind of have these hands crossed, kind of like this. I'm not really going to go all into it right now, but you're going to need the elbows to come in quite like that. So that looks really good. So chest articulation, there's nothing up here. There's no joint up here. This is all one solid piece, so you're not going to get anything there. You are going to get a little bit of bend from the waist and a little bit of back. You get a little bit of twist, but again, we've talked about this in the past, especially this being a rubber style suit. The more pressure you put on this, the more chances of these seams and everything like this trying to start to rip or cause a bunch of creasing. So you want to be kind of weary of that when you're doing poses. But again, this guy, you're not going to have a lot of dynamic poses with this guy. He's very just kind of straight up and down most of the time. Leg-wise, we get really good. You can almost do full splits, which is actually pretty good. We don't really get a lot of that with our Hot Toys figures. Kick up, all the way up completely 90 degrees. That looks really good. We don't get a lot of that either. And then his knees all the way up here. He's got these long calves and legs here. Get double jointed. That looks really good. And then of course, we took a look at this earlier. You're going to get full range of motion with this because of the way those boots are. So you're going to get plenty of pivot and everything like that. And then these just slide back down on top. So I think articulation wise, this guy is really, really well done. Very happy with that, because a lot of times on these third party figures, they don't use the same style bodies as Hot Toys does. And then you get a lot of kind of dull articulation, as I call it, or you just really don't get a lot. So let's go ahead and get him out on the turntable, and we'll put him in a pose and we'll finish up the video. So here we have the figure in the final pose, and I've got him where he's got his, his fingers crossed there in front of his chest. Kind of a pose I remember from the films. And I mean, he's creepy, but he looks really cool. Glad to have him in my collection. Really, really happy that we were able to get some third-party company make a few of the Black Order, the Children of Thanos. Hopefully, we get Corvus Glaive and a Cull Obsidian. We've so far, like I've said earlier, we have gotten the Ebony Maw figure, which you see in front of you, and then the Shadow Void figure, which is Proxima Midnight, which should be hitting shelves, I think, in the next couple months. So I do have that one on order, so you will see that on this channel, so stay tuned for that. And I think that's going to be it for this video as we finish up. Appreciate everybody watching. Please take a moment. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please drop a comment below. Did you pick this guy up? Are you thinking about picking this one up? Because he is hard to get right now. I know most places are sold out. So you're going to have to go to places like eBay, Mercari, things like that, if you want to try to track one down for your collection. So I appreciate everybody watching. Please follow me over on Instagram at The Hot Toys Collector. We will be doing a bunch of photos over there, and I'll be posting a bunch of him and things like that. So I think that's going to be it. And as always, we'll see you in the next video. Yeah.